Hi, my name's Stuart. I built these guitars. Leo Fender had a similar sort of, a lot of similarities between him and my father. My father was an old radio man from, he learned radio back in the 20s and 30s and was a radio engineer during World War II. And so I was brought up around that kind of electronics background. I worked at the Fender custom shop for 15 years and went to work as a tune tester basically, and then was lucky enough to be there at just the right time when they started the custom shop and made a favorable enough impression on John Page and Mike Stevens. And so I was one of the first people that they brought in there to the custom shop, and it worked out well for me. Have a lot of great friends over there, great relationship with them, and have done stuff recently with them, and we'll do stuff in the future with them. And you can see how Fender, the DNA of Fender is pretty solid in me. One of the earliest prototypes of an electric guitar that Fender did had this, what they call snakehead. Back in, when was it? Late 90s. We reproduced the snakehead, and that was a project that I was pretty much headed up. And I got to actually got to play the original, which at that point in time it didn't function. The pickup was dead in it, but I got to hang out with that guitar and play it and take specs off of it to make the one that Fender did back in I think it was '97. And we did it for the NAMM show, and at that point in time is when I first met George Fullerton. Was at the NAMM show, and he was standing in front of the guitar, which was being displayed, and just looking at it, and I had the nerve to walk up and just say, introduce myself, and he was very complimentary. He said, that looks just really looks right. It looks great. He said, thank you very much. And I said, well, I'm glad it meets with your approval. Anyhow, I subsequently, got to know George fairly well in the last few years of his life. George also, a lot of people don't know this about George, but he and I share a passion for painting. Painting landscapes, basically, is what George did, and I'm a big fan of landscape painting as well. But anyhow, it was real nice to get to know him and have conversations with him and pick his brain a little bit. I wish I'd done more of it, because he was really a wealth of knowledge. I mean, he was there. He was one of the original guys. So I did a project with Fender, the Founder series, and that's when I met Ian. And having conversations with Ian at that point in time, he asked me if I would be interested in doing some, making some guitars for him. And so we talked it over, and he knew that I had worked on the original Snakehead project. I put little diamond inlays in the fretboard instead of dots, to give it a little bit of my own touch. And then this pick guard, for example, is pretty close to the shape of the original, but the original had a different control plate down here, and so I just incorporated it into the control plate. but it's basically very inspired by the original snakehead. This one here is alder body with the rosewood fretboard. It doesn't have the humbucker; it's got the single coil, but the other ones with the single coils are ash. These bodies weigh under 5 pounds each, and there's one piece. And ash has become a very premium product at this point in time. It's hard to get a hold of good ash. In addition to having my logo on the peg head here, I signed each one of them on the back of the peg head. So I have the legible Stuart here and the one that you can't read back here, but it's my signature.